Good evening. Let me first begin by thanking Yasmin and Ming. Thank you very much. We've done a lot of work now, as you just heard, without Kevon, nothing would happen, and without not happening. And thank you, Kevon. When I get into board, I have another Kevon, Fakiri, who is a volunteer from Washington, has joined us. Thank you, Kevon. And we have Stephen here, another volunteer. Thank you, Stephen. I have a lot of people here. We have Evan, Kiari, who has been with me for a long time, and my good friend, Dr. Alidad Mafinizam, was come all the way from Washington to join us, and I could go on and tell you how important people have been in making Hooshang Amirahmadi what it is, and I'm still in the beginning of it, okay? They can become better. I wanted to thank the political union, and told that there was some disturbances in the streets here around, and that some people may have not been able to join. But we have a great group here. That is the quality. That's very important. The word of today is the word of quality, not quantity. It's the word of value, not volume. And that's exactly what we have here. Tonight I'm going to speak in Taiwan, basically give you a lot of what I have to tell you, but let's see if I can tell you the way what Taiwan had to tell you. First, I just came back last night from a trip to Iran and then Dubai to here, Iraq here at 12 at night. And our campaign will go this week to LA again, back and then to Kazakhstan, back to Iran, and then back to here. So we're going to be busy for the next 2 months. In Iran, although I was there for a few days, I learned a very interesting thing. I have to share that because it's such a really good thing to know. The officials of the Islamic Republic obviously never left me alone. They always were with me, and they were very hospitable in many ways, and I'm very grateful to them. And they told me two things about the fact that they have been so hospitable or wanted to be hospitable. One is that our campaign in Iran is quite popular, and it is popular. To my absolute shock, the government would acknowledge that we have a very popular campaign. And I said, I have never campaigned in Iran. What campaign? I said, well, you are campaigning overseas, but it is coming to here. And a lot of people are talking about it. And they were very concerned, not because of what I am doing, but as in their words, because there are other people that are talking and going around and doing things in my name or in the name of the campaign that has generated concern in the part of the government. So they were asking me whether it is possible to manage this campaign better. And I said, well, I have nothing on the ground here, so what management? But anyway, so that's one issue that they raised with me, and obviously I have to think very seriously about how to manage the campaign back in Iran, because it's obviously it is not just only the campaign is quite popular, but also because there are concerns on the part of the government that some group of people may use this campaign to disturb the peace of the society. And obviously that's quite a warning statement. The second issue that they raised, of course, was about my own safety. And they were saying that they are very concerned about my safety. So anytime I go to Iran, they need to be with me all the time, and that they cannot afford to have me harmed in the country. And they were saying that the country has, the system has enough enemy to harm me, and they would then obviously, if I was ever harmed in Iran, automatically in their course, the government is going to get in the lane. So they were very concerned about these two issues. We had a lot of discussions, and I, of course, had discussions with the people, with my own family, with supporters. came out with this idea that first they have started something that is very serious, and that the government and the people in Iran are taking it very seriously, and that we need to be even more serious than we used to be until now about what's going on in our own campaign. And second, of course, is the issue of safety and security. I have to say also that government never told me that I have to stop this campaign or that I should not register. None of this came out. In fact, they kept telling me that this is a good campaign, except that it has to be managed better. And better, they mean actually it has to be controlled one way or another. I'm sure I'm not going to be thinking about it, not to talk to my colleagues here and also in Iran to see how to be moved forward. The campaign in Iran, as Rehan said, has generated a lot of interest, particularly among the young Iranians. And you can see from the Facebook page, the Persian Facebook page, every day we get over 1,000 hits. I mean, that is to say. And the words about this campaign is all over. And wherever I went, there were a few things that the people told me, and very encouraging. First, Dr. Amirahmadi, you are the only candidate that has a plan for the country. There is absolutely no candidate in the country that has even a 2-page plan. Thanks God, we have 80+ pages. And in both languages, Persian and English, we are running actually 2 campaigns. A campaign in English and a campaign in Persian, very tough. Even campaign in one language is tough. The bigger, now running 2 languages. Second, I learned that not only people don't have a plan, they don't even know what to tell the people. They are basically the same propaganda. Wherever they go, it's basically the same thing. And in a few places, people have noticed that some of these candidates are cheating. That is to say, they are reading from my plans. That's honest. They are actually taking their ideas from my plan and reading it word by word. Okay, and in 2 places I obviously protested, and they told me, Hooshang, this is Iran. There is no property pattern here. There is nothing here that we can, they don't subscribe to anything like that. So they can actually take your plan and put it in their name and it goes. I think the other thing that I heard them telling me was that we have, for the first time, started a campaign that has never been witnessed by the Iranians for the Iranian campaign, and that is a modern campaign, a social media campaign. A campaign of as Rehan said, is in the social media, in the virtual life, and they like it. A lot of people like that, and particularly for me, that's extremely important because we, at the end of the day, will have certain restrictions in Iran on the ground to move around and campaign. The other thing that I have learned also that in Iran these days, this election process is extremely sensitive. That but the next 2 weeks is going to be a very tough time for the system to figure out how to move this campaign forward. Obviously, as I will go into this in a second, there is a lot of factional issues over this campaign, and they haven't yet figured out who really actually should run, because a lot of people who are already running, they really aren't serious candidates. The serious candidates are not getting in who are supposed to be. But they don't know how to get in even, because at some point, at some level, there has to be a consensus within the system in terms of how to move forward. And as you all know, there is a serious concern in the country that President Ahmadinejad would field his own candidate who may not be acceptable to the conservative in the country, and could create a backlash for the campaign, and they are trying to do their best to prevent that kind of situation with Iran. It is in the context of these struggle within the faction, groups, factions, and what the Iranian people are thinking about our campaign versus others, that this campaign really has taken a meaning of its own. It's a very unique, that's become a very unique campaign. It is a campaign that has a plan, a campaign that has ideas, a campaign that has not just ideas, but ideas that Iranian people want implemented. We want US-Iran relations improved. We want the economy managed better. We want actions get together and create solidarity and national reconciliation. This language by itself is so strange among the other groups, and that Iranian people really are just thirsty of this kind of ideas and movement. So we are trying to, in fact, create a discourse throughout this campaign, a discourse that we know the Iranian people like to embrace. Now let me then tell you a little bit about Iran in a different way, moving away from my observations in the country to something different, and then connected to the observations again. As Kevin told you, our campaign is a global and grassroots campaign. They have taken this campaign to everywhere. And why it's global? Because Iran, as you know, has been a country, has been a global country. Iran is a global country. For the last 30-some years, Iran is all over. In any media look at it, everywhere you go. I mean, the Brazilian be interested in Hooshang Amirahmadi's campaign. You ask yourself why the Chinese have to be interested, or the Turks, or Russians. I mean, you name it. Why? It's not just Hooshang Amirahmadi, it's Iran. Iran is a global issue. Unfortunately, however, a global issue that in most of this last 30-some years have been on the wrong side of the global issues. And not just the Iranian people, the world community wants Iran to become a better place. That they really want Iran changed. They want Iran back to the international community because they like Iran. They think Iran is a great country, it's a great culture, a great civilization. I mean, honestly, I see more interest in non-Iranians in a better Iran than Iranians themselves these days. The Iranians themselves are very disappointed. We Iranians usually are very much like, usually are negative. We always give negative energy to each other. But most of the positive energy I get is from my quoting with foreign friends, non-Iranian friends. It's amazing how much is in there in terms of the positive energy that we are getting. But the point, as I said, is that this community, the international community, wants a better Iran. And that is, of course, our campaign's slogan too, for a better Iran. And that's what we are for. Hooshang Amirahmadi wants to become president, but that's not really the issue. I could become president or anything else, but the point is that we want a better Iran. And we will be there to bring that about as long as it takes. And this is a political movement that will not stop, I promise you. This is not about Hooshang Amirahmadi. It's not about this election. It is about Iran. It is about the future of that country, and why it's just not about Iran again. It's about the region that Iran lives in, about the global society in which Iran lives in. Iran has become such a big issue for all of us, Iranians, non-Iranians. So this campaign is about that, about to bring about a better Iran. And I believe we can. I believe we can, and we will. All right, it will take some time, courage, okay, but we will. And I'm very optimistic about the results that we will get. Already we are there to a large extent. 2 months ago when we started this, most people thought it would disappear very quickly. They haven't, and every day we are growing. And I promise you we'll grow even further and further, not just after the election, years after the election, we will be growing. Now, this election is certainly, I believe, as a turning point in the life of the Islamic Republic. It is a turning point. The Islamic Republic understands it quite well, and that's why they are so sensitive, and they really are very, very nervous. That's it, very nervous about this election. They don't know how to manage it. It's not just managing my election, but managing the election as a whole is the issue. I mean, the reflection that, you have a good election process, campaign, but yeah, it has to be managed well. It's really mean to tell me that we are concerned about the election as a whole, that this whole campaign has to be managed well. And so one of these campaigns is mine, and that has to be, also managed well. This election is a turning point in the life of the Islamic Republic because the Islamic Republic faces three very serious problems. Three serious problems that I believe that they don't have easy solutions. Serious problems. One problem is factional infighting. The factional infighting in the Islamic Republic is not new. It has been there from the very beginning of this revolution. The Islamic Republic's boss had all kinds of people in it, but over time, many of them are, get out, and there are only few. I mean, the reformists are out, the moderates are out, the nationalists are out, the secular groups are out. The last election, 2009, the Green Movement, sent everybody out except a small group that we call the conservatives. Now, the conservatives thought that now the boss is under their control and they can take it anywhere they want and they can have fun. They realized very soon that that's not the case. That the factional conflict now within Iraq is the most serious, threatening, destabilizing factional conflict the Islamic Republic has ever experienced. I usually say the Islamic Republic's boss now is honestly on cruise control. And running into the direction of a cliff is much bigger than the American pistol. It's a cliff that if it goes there, it will never come out. And the problem is that nobody really can jump on this steering wheel and get, on the boss and with a brake on it and take it to a different direction. It's that dangerous. Now, as the boss is going, everybody out there to the side is trying to figure out, who should it first check out of the boss, even before it puts the brake on that boss that is going toward the cliff. Well, and this election, the next 2-3 weeks is going to be very critical because I think the discussion really is on who should really jump on the steering wheel and put the brake. Whether they can really find one, whether that can happen is an issue. Now, the factional conflict is really on a lot of issues. I mean, the issue of power, the issue of the economic interests, but most importantly, I think, is about the direction of the revolution. Like in 1979, there was a revolution, and the revolution had certain goals and certain ideas, aspirations, and that kind of stuff. But now they have come to a point where to take that revolution to. For example, disagreements on U.S.-Iraq relations. One reason why U.S.-Iraq relation is not going well is because of that disagreement, because of that revolution. I will explain, and I can come to that one. But then this factional conflict also created problem, has created problem for economic policy, tremendous inconsistency in economic policy. It has created problem for the regime in terms of how to deal with the opposition groups out there. You know, everybody has its own idea. So the bottom line is that this factional conflict has created a blockage on policies. There is no policy making going on anymore, and the policies are now clear as in terms of their directions. Everybody is pulling this to one direction or another. So that's the first issue, factional conflict, and I don't believe it has an easy solution. It doesn't have particularly an easy solution because, unfortunately, the central authority, the Islamic Republic, is weakening these days. There was a time when you had one central authority that could tell different groups, okay, to shut up or sit down or do this or don't do that. That central authority is increasingly absent. There are times that the central authority comes around, but not effective. And that's probably, if you were to ask me, the most dangerous development in the Islamic Republic, I would say exactly this, the reduction in the authority of the central figure of the Islamic Republic. And that absence of authority, okay, or not the absence, I would say, reduction in that authority is a major problem for the factions, because the factions are not listening anymore to that authority, and they are going to one day soon, to settle accounts among themselves. It's very dangerous. The second issue is, of course, the U.S.-Iran relations. That's again, it's not an issue that's new to any of you. Many people have, there are different ideas about why the U.S. and Iran can come together and get together. Americans say they have problems with the Islamic Republic's behavior, with the nuclear enrichment, on supporting the terrorism or human rights, or peace between Arabs and Israelis. These are basically the four issues that the Americans keep saying that they have problems with Islam. Today, the issue is nuclear. 10 years ago, it was nuclear. It was terrorism. Before that, it was the peace issue. But it gets changing. The reality keeps changing. But is that real? Is that real issue between the U.S. and Iran? Is it the bottom line of U.S.-Iran relation? Is that nuclear issue, terrorism, peace, or human rights? My answer is absolutely not. None of them are. For one thing, all of these issues that I just mentioned, they're all regional and global issues. Terrorism is a global issue. Human rights is a global issue. Peace between Arab and Israel is a regional issue, to say the least. And the enrichment issue is also a global issue. Let me give you just a few quick examples of why I do this. Peace between Arabs and Israelis. Let's assume that the Islamic Republic is responsible for lack of peace between Arabs and Israelis, Palestinians and Israelis. Okay, and they have been responsible for the last 34 years that the Islamic Republic has been in existence. Someone has to take responsibility for the lack of that peace for the first 30-some years. After all, the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Palestinian issue is almost 60-some years, 70 years now. So, what about that 35 years that the Islamic Republic didn't exist? So you can see that that's really not an issue. Second, on the terrorism, over the last 10 years that they have been fighting terrorism, who we have been fighting? Al-Qaeda and Taliban and groups like that in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, and elsewhere. They happen to be Iran's enemies as well. So, is that really an issue? I mean, when we say terrorism, of course, they mean Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas. We can argue, how to deal with those two issues. Of course, I have always said, I continue to say, that any group, doesn't matter Hamas or Hezbollah, when they kill the Israeli kids and blow an Israeli bus, certainly that's a terrorist act. But then at the same time, if you are defending your home, it's a different act. But the point here is that Israeli, the terrorism issue is not also a serious issue to the Israeli issue. Human rights. I mean, no matter how much the Islamic Republic abuses the Iranian people's human rights, and it does, no question about it, and I want to be on the record saying it. But who has human rights in that area? The Persian Gulf Arab States, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and you name it. In fact, in many of these countries I just named, there is no election whatsoever. Many of them don't have even a constitution whatsoever. The Islamic Republic at least has an election every 4 years for president. They cheat, but they at least have an election. I keep telling my friends that I wish one day, I want to see one day the Saudi Arabia would institute an election process and would cheat 100%. I would love it to see an election in Saudi Arabia with that 100% cheat. All right, but they don't. So again, human rights, the lack of democracy is certainly an issue in Iran, but I don't think that's the issue. Now the question is then, what is the issue? Why the US and Iran can't come together? Well, my answer to that is one word: revolution. Back in 1979, Iran had a revolution called the Islamic Revolution. That revolution from the day one did not like America. They did not like America, they don't like America even today. All the revolutionaries that are there, that still hate America, they are anti-America. That includes the leader of the Islamic Republic and many of his people. And unfortunately, they continue to remain revolutionary. Just a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, the leader of the Islamic Republic made a speech by the US and said, listen, I'm a simple revolutionary. I'm not a politician or a diplomat. He is a revolutionary, that's what he says I am. So he looks at America from the lens of that revolution. The US, the Iran, the Islamic Republic views the United States from the lens of that revolution, the prism of that revolution. And you know what? The bad news is that America has never liked revolutions either. I don't know why. I mean, this is a revolutionary country. You know, I'm very proud of our revolutions here. We kicked out the British after all, did all of this. But for whatever reason, in the last several decades, or maybe the last century, something has happened in this country that made the America anti-revolutionary or counter-revolutionary. America didn't live with the Russian Revolution, with Chinese Revolution, Cuban Revolution, Iranian Revolution. The United States just doesn't have the ability to live with revolutions. They have not learned how to live with revolutions. Unfortunately, our diplomats are not good at it. So you have a situation where there is a revolution in the middle between US and Iran, and both sides view each other to the prism of that revolution. The US looks at the Islamic Republic through the prism of that revolution, it doesn't like it. And the Islamic Republic does the same. And that's the problem. Now, this makes the formula very difficult for solution, because if the revolution is in the middle, and you, of course the revolution, you cannot just take it away. It's just right there, okay? So, how would you solve the problem? You will solve, of course, the problem by redirecting the revolution in the right way, but also still retaining the system. China is a good example. China is a great example. As a communist country, it's still a communist country. The communist party still controls. But the communist party redirected its foreign policy and domestic policy to the extent that the American became comfortable with it, and therefore coexisted. I think Iran needs to understand that. It's very unfortunate, I have to say, but the fact is that as long as the Islamic Republic views itself as revolutionary and looks at America from the prism of that revolution, that will not be a solution to US-Iran problems. It will be impossible to take a solution. I see many people here saying that, you know, if we sit there and if we talk a little bit more honorably with the Islamic Republic, we will solve the problem. My friends, yes, everybody needs to be honored and respected and all that. But the problem between US and Iran is not an honor problem, it's not a respect problem. It's a revolution problem. It's a problem much, much deeper, bigger. Now, the problem with that revolution is also because that revolution created something we call lack of trust. The one thing the revolution did over time, it destroyed the trust between US and Iran. So you need someone in charge that can do two things. I don't know who that person is. One, that can establish trust with the US, and second, that can redirect the system in Iran in a way that while the system is maintained, the policies are changed. And that person obviously must be able to also speak to Americans and tell them that this is the way you need also to see the situation back in Iran, that you have to be realistic about the Islamic Republic, that if you are there to think in terms of like the Islamic Republic tomorrow become a non-revolutionary state, it's just not going to happen. Not happen as long as the revolutionary leaders are in place. Remember also, never first generation leaders of revolutions have given up. Never. The only second generation leaders come and the third generation leaders come. And they slowly, moderate the situation. The third issue is the economy. The problem with the United States has created, of course, a lot of problems with Iran's economy. Yes. That problem was sanctions, created a lot of economic problems. But also, that factional conflict has created mismanagement. So mismanagement of the economy and the sanctions of the international community they have crippled Iran's economy tremendously. Unemployment, inflation, declining industrial outputs. I mean, you name it. Iran is basically increasing their closed economy. It's a tough situation. Oil income and others are declining, and in the meantime, corruption is rampant. Sanctions have created a whole new, economic mafia in the country that benefits from sanctions and sanction busting, unfortunately. And that's created tremendous moral issues for the nation. Now, I wanted to leave some time for the discussion. So let me say this, that there are three issues that the Islamic Republic suffers from: factional infighting, problem in the US, and economic malaise. Now, the Islamic Republic needs to solve this problem, and as I said, this is not going to be easy. The Islamic Republic needs a leadership now, an executive leadership, that first and foremost can bring solidarity among factions, or needs a national reconciliation process, of coalition building process. Well, I have to tell you this. Within the Islamic Republic, that person doesn't exist. There is not a single person that's running for presidency of that country today that has that capability. They are all factional people. You can't bring factions together through a factional conflict or a factional politics, that is to say. There's only one person that is running and can do it, and that's Hooshang Amirahmadi. Why I can do it? Because I've never been a member of any factions. I've always stood above all factions. I've always taken a national view of Iran, from the US-Iran relations to factional issues. I've never been a member of any faction. I think I am in a better position than anybody, absolutely anybody, okay, to bring that together. Remember also that I said the weakness or the weakening of the central authority is a major issue here. So you really need someone that is fresh outside that could bring them together. US-Iran relations. There is not a single person running today as president or the candidacy as candidate in the Islamic Republic that can solve US-Iran problems. Why they cannot? Because they are part of the problem. these people are problem makers. They cannot be problem solvers. Not a single person running has that capability of being a problem solver. They're all problem makers. The Islamic Republic, when the US looks at these guys, all sees in them is problem makers. They don't see them in problem solvers. And there is only one person that the US can look and see as a problem solver, and that's Hooshang Amirahmadi. I mean, I have spent 27 years building peace between the US. I'm a peace builder. I'm very honored to say that I have spent most of my good life, more productive life on US operations. I'm very honored that I have done that, and I think I'm the only person, honestly, that is running for presidency and can deliver that. After all, I understand both languages, both cultures. I've lived here now, and I've lived in Iran as well. And I think Americans trust me, and I think I have also developed some level of trust in Iran as well. And I've created lots of opportunities, as I want to give you a few examples. But unfortunately, because I was not in a decision-making or implementation position, those opportunities were missed. People ask me, why don't you, continue being active in U.S. Foundation? I said, of course, I will never give up. But the problem is I'm getting tired of creating opportunities and see them missed by others. Now, we need to be therefore in a command situation here, really do this. After all, I'm not a revolutionary, so this I'm not part of those problem makers. All right, and the U.S. government sees me as a man with some logic and reason, and I have great friends in the administration. A friend of mine was jokingly telling me in Tehran that, listen, Obama's administration is very much like your administration. You have Joe Biden as a friend, John Kerry, and then Chuck Yeager. And obviously, I'm very honored to say that I have worked with all three gentlemen, and I'm sure if one day I'm in a position on the U.S. Foundation, they will all help to come to the conclusion. And finally, on economics, my friend, I teach economics. That's my job. I'm an international economic developer. That's my job. I have been done for 30 years. That not a single person running in the Islamic Republic's election now that has any idea of economics. Look at them. Look at their background. Not a single. And yet, the biggest problem the Iranian people have is economics. They have absolutely no idea what economic policy is. They have no idea what macroeconomic means or microeconomic means, what monetary policy or fiscal policy or trade policy or industrial policy. They have no idea of any of this. They have no idea of the international economics and how the world economy is operating. They just have no idea. I'm sorry to say that. They have absolutely no idea. So again, here comes Hooshang Amirahmadi. I have to tell you one thing. Honestly, if the Islamic Republic was to go tomorrow to God and say, listen, God, I have trouble. I wanted to find a person that will solve my factional issues, my problem with the US, and manage my economy. Get me one. And the God will say, go back, okay, and I have already created that man. That's Hooshang Amirahmadi. And I say this honestly. I say this honestly, not just as propaganda. I mean, it is for the Islamic Republic to miss this opportunity. I have offered myself, I have offered to the Iranian people, to all of my friends here in the global community. I think, again, as I said, I would love to become the president. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to be there and work hard and speak out. But at the end of the day, I said, this process does not have to end with this election. We have to be there until something happens. Iranian people really need a normal life. They deserve a normal life. They're not asking for too much. They're asking for a very normal life. To have to eat, to drink, to have fun, to have security. Just our young people, what they're asking for. Nothing really more than many of you are asking for. They're just the same people. They are fed up with 34 years of war, of sanction, of threat of war, of revolution of this sort or that sort, factional conflicts, and you name it. They really wanted to move on with a normal life. We really need to help them. I am there to help them to normalize their life. And I think it's only unfortunate that many of our Iranian colleagues, particularly outside of the country, are not very positive about this development, this movement. As Kayvan was saying, for one reason, this is a very novel idea. 7 million Iranians live outside the country. For one thing, they also have a right to their home country. Many of them are not living outside voluntarily. And I'm sure they love their country. And they want to be part of it in the country. Second, the public vote has become a vote of expansion. We are all nomads. We are all of them. That politics of the past, that if you live in the US, you have no right to politics in Iran, is finished. Anywhere you live, you have right to anywhere you have been born or you are a member. This is a nomadic life. This is a nomadic society. From here to Iran, only 13 hours. That's what the distance is. All right? So, I think our campaign really makes all the sense. Some people say, Hooshang, you have lived 30-some years in the US. Why do you have, why do you think they have any legitimacy to run for Iran's presidency? They don't really understand the new world. They really don't understand what the Iranian people want. The Iranian people want, honestly, a person outside, because they are tired of these people inside that they have messed up their life. They messed up their life. And I'm telling these people, if you are running for presidency of Iran and you think you could do anything, you had 34 years to do it. For the last 34 years, you have messed up everything. From the US-Iran relation to the West, relation with the rest of the economy, the factions. I mean, you name it. Domestic politics. Why the Iranian people should at all believe you that you will be any different? The only thing they can believe in it is that you will do even worse. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for that course of action in Iran change, and with your help, we will change it. Thank you for your support. Okay, and I look forward to working with you and Kayvan too, and everybody else. Thank you.